Я рад приветствовать вас, дорогие.
Welcome, my friends. I'm pleased to invite you to watch a new episode of Colors of Asia.
Сегодня в программе.
In today's program, what is parenting and how do famous parents approach this issue? The world-famous teacher and writer Anton Makarenko once wrote, "You can't teach a person to be happy, but you can teach him so that he will be happy." Raising children isn't the fact that the adult generation passes on its experience, its passion, its beliefs to the younger generation. Musician who is rightfully referred to as one of the fathers of Kazakh jazz adheres to these traditions. A few generations of jazz lovers in Kazakhstan are familiar with the name of Yakov Khan. He's a famous musician, conductor, and teacher. And despite the fact that he is already almost 80 years old, for many he is a simple, wonderful, and kind, talented, forever young, energetic, and genius Uncle Yasha, who is devoted to music and passes on his rich experience to new jazz musicians. According to Yakov Khan, being a professional musician, playing in a band, is a one thing, but teaching the basics of orchestra music to pass on to children the love of jazz is a completely different thing. This became the meaning of his life, and it's no accident that for several decades he has been teaching at the music school in Almaty. The school has its own children's orchestra that can rightfully be called one of the most professional and best in the CIS.
У нас нет специализированного джазового отделения. Просто Ахан Абдуллаевич...
We don't have a specialized jazz department at our school. The director decided to open an optional course, but he wants all children to know jazz harmony. You don't have to play on any instrument, but you need to know the harmony and jazz improvisation. Of course, most of them don't know how to improvise yet, but they already have some idea of it.
Но какая-то информация есть. Мой долг.
My duty is to make them become orchestra musicians so that any of them could play at the orchestra and make a living. They already know everything by the time of graduation. Therefore, having entered the conservatory, the academy, they know everything. These are ready-made musicians. There is no more pleasure for me than to hear how competently they play. It's the biggest gift for me. And to be the best, it's necessary not only to have talent, musical sense, it's important to take everything responsibly. And how to bring up this quality in modern children, how to explain to them that discipline and hard work are 90% of success.
Вот когда надо всегда благодарить. Когда ты наказываешь...
You need to thank them when it's necessary. It's not a good idea to punish them in front of everyone. You have to do it in person. And you have to scold a child in the following manner. Why did you let me down like that? We had a deal.
Там мне 6 по 12 класс, да? Я у них учусь.
I work with kids from grade 6 to 12. And I learn a lot from them too. Sometimes they say something and it makes me think, Mamma mia, because there's so much information right now. I don't have time to absorb all this at my age. And children, they are like sponges. And they suddenly say, Uncle Yasha, it's a thing of the past. And what can I say? No matter how big you are, if you admit your mistakes, there is mutual understanding and trust. When I come to class, we hug. We're like one family. And this makes the orchestra sound completely different, because we understand and trust each other.
Потому что мы уже понимаем, доверяем друг другу.
Yakov Khan was born in 1943 in South Kazakhstan. He lost his father when he was 5. He still remembers how hard it was for his mother to raise 3 children all alone in the post-war years. He remembers his uncle who believed that it was necessary to be strict with nephews. However, he did not understand that his methods of upbringing were a manifestation of cruelty.
Дядя, да, он же математик, преподаватель по математике.
My uncle was a math teacher. He had a long ruler, and if we didn't do something right, he would beat our hands or put us in a corner and made us hold hands like this. And in such a pose, it was necessary to keep either a briefcase or a stack of books. The whole lesson, 45 minutes. These were the methods. So we were even physically afraid of him. But I confess that we thought that it was necessary to do so.
Честно скажу, и по сей день думаю, нам казалось, что так нужно.
Subsequently, raising his 2 sons, Yakov Khan and his wife never used the principle of stick. They always tried to show more kindness and warmth towards children, to teach them about life, to be not only their parents, but also their friends, who through their actions, advices, set only a positive example. Sometimes they allow themselves to spoil their sons, but not too much.
В течение 4-5.
Until the age of 4, 5, 6, the child needs to be allowed to do whatever he wants. Just let him. If we forbid something, we say that it cannot be done or that he can do this or go there, then a child can develop a complex. But when it comes to their homework, they do it on time and as planned. We have a strong discipline regarding everything that comes to school, but other things are allowed.
Остальное, пожалуйста.
Today, the sons of Yakov Khan are already adults, raising children themselves. Both of them became good professionals. However, by duty of service, they are thousands of kilometers away from their parents, just like grandchildren who are also away, but they always come to visit their grandparents, Almaty. Grandpa always guided me in a positive direction. We've always talked about positive thinking, and I keep living according to those principles. I also adhere to the principle of boomerang. What you said to another person will surely come back to you. If not tomorrow, then the day after tomorrow, or after a while. I often take an example from my grandfather because he told me how he achieved everything, and on his own, without anyone's help. Yakov Khan admits that he pays more attention to his grandchildren than he once did to his children, probably because he has more free time, and also because there are no long tours. Accordingly, he helps raising grandchildren, thereby helping his sons and his daughters-in-law.
Самый старший внук – Николай Хан. Когда он родился,
My oldest grandson, Nikolai Khan, I still can't explain my feelings when he was born. I was on cloud 9. I didn't realize what it was or how. I was glad I had a grandson. Why do I say that? My eldest son was born in Rostov-on-Don. My wife is from there. And when she got pregnant, she went there. Why? Because I had nothing here. No apartment, nothing. We just got married, settled in a dorm, then we got kicked out. Then we ran around the apartments. And she decided to leave to Rostov-on-Don. And when my son was born, I went on tour. She only had time to show me the baby out of the window. And that was all.
через окошко показала, и все. Я 4 месяца не видел сына, был на гастроле.
I haven't seen them in 4 months, and the last city on tour was Donetsk. From there, I could take the bus to Rostov. I came back, and he was already a big boy. When he saw me, he started crying because he was scared of some unknown man.
Увидел меня, заплакал. Ну, какой-то чужой дядя природа. Вот я тоже внуку говорю, посмотри, ты же видишь, у вас совсем уже другие отношения.
I say to my grandson, look, you have a very different relationship among your friends now. Everything changed. The whole outlook on life is different. So I have to proactively let him know that there might be danger. There is a human factor, and the higher you get, the more your horizons expand.
Знаете, вот чем ты выше поднимаешься, у тебя горизонт расширяется.
When you grow up, you need adults' directions, because sometimes you don't know what you need from life. Parents and grandparents are needed for this purpose, so they can help you with your choice. Not to point you to something definite, but to point you in the direction you need.
Каждый человек должен все время подниматься, чтобы больше увидеть горизонт.
Each person has to rise constantly to see the bigger horizon clearly, to make sure where he's going. And this is already a problem. So I say it more as an example. You know, I think that's what you need to do. It's what I think. It would be desirable for a person to look for his own way. Don't tell him there is danger. Let the person see it for himself. He needs to be given an opportunity to think. If he makes a mistake, he won't go there again.
Подумал, обжегся, он уже туда больше не пойдет.
Because we live in the 21st century, most people, including myself, are spoiled. We have many choices to choose from, and I believe that there should still be some stick in the methods of education. I'm not talking about hitting your child, but there must be some penalties. For the child to understand that some bad misconduct will be followed by punishment, that he should not do so, it's wrong. And there has to be a carrot, of course. It's a must. It's necessary to encourage child and praise him. But there should always be balance, a line that you cannot cross. A man must be free, and until he realizes that there is a problem ahead himself, everything is useless.
Сколько себя помню, я постоянно видел, как дедушка работает за...
As long as I remember, I constantly saw Grandpa working on a computer with notes. And since I was a kid, I understood that Grandpa lived it. He lived the music. And when I gave up something related to music, it certainly made him upset. And I'm really glad Grandfather promotes jazz, that he likes it. I'm glad that he likes it. He enjoys life. And I also want to enjoy it. I'm glad that many people know him, that many admire him, that he has students. It's all part of the memory. All people who once worked with my grandfather or who will work with him in the future, they will all remember him.
Все будут его помнить.
The great Russian writer Leo Tolstoy once said, "Education is an impact on the hearts of those we raise." And Rudyard Kipling, as if complimenting his words, said, "Education is the highest of the benefits, but only when it's first class, otherwise it's no good at all." And now we will tell you about the person who raised more than one generation of famous athletes in Kyrgyzstan. The story is about the founder of grappling and one of the most experienced coaches on mixed martial arts in Kyrgyzstan, Kenzhebek Chekirov. He believes that many parents make the main mistake when they try to make a wunderkind out of their child. Our hero was convinced of this from personal experience. His daughter and son went in for sports from an early age and lived on a strict schedule. In addition, they gained extra knowledge in math and studied foreign languages. As a result, it didn't lead to anything good. It had a very bad effect on their health.
Своим друзьям или те родители.
I say to my friends or those parents who come to me and ask for advice, do not rush to make wunderkinds out of them. Let them enjoy their childhood. Because I wanted to make geniuses out of my children. From the age of 3, I brought them to artistic gymnastics, to general gymnastics. They didn't have a childhood. They lived strictly according to the schedule. They ate on the go. Math, foreign languages. My daughter was engaged in rhythmic gymnastics for 8-9 years, but subsequently, her thyroid gland had enlarged. It was too much. I also made my son go in for martial arts too early.
Слишком рано отдавать в единоборство.
Kenzhebek Chekirov is sure that children cannot be scolded and punished. You don't have to decide for them. As they say, every man is the master of his destiny. Moreover, all in good times.
5-7 лет он начинает общую дисциплину понимать. Дайте, пусть поплавает. Научится в жизни, пригодится поплавать. Пусть футбол погонять, пусть во дворе играет.
At the age of 5, at 7, he begins to understand what discipline is. Give him the swimming lessons. Let him learn. It will be useful. Let him play football. Let him play in the yard. And when there are sparks of some skills, abilities to ball sports or to martial arts, you will see it. Maybe he will become a poet or a violin player in the future. Maybe he doesn't have to break his fingers. And then, when he consciously begins to understand everything, then it's already possible to work with him. When he gets older, after 12 years old, I always advise to bring children around this time because it's also easy for me to work with them. I ask a child, "Do you understand me?" And he says he understands. And I say, "Let's sing, let's play. Do you have friends?" He shares something with me, but asks me to keep it a secret. And he begins to realize that we are on the same page. He begins to trust me because I also open up to him. I once made a mistake deciding for my children. Then I released them and told, "That's it." My son became a lawyer and my daughter graduated from a financial college. I told them, "Choose the profession you want," because I wanted to make them Olympic champions, Nobel Prize winners. No, it turns out you shouldn't put pressure on them since they were too young. There is a certain age when a child begins to reveal himself. You have to see it on time, his talent. Parents' perceptions of the future of their children often do not coincide with the wishes of the children, and it's no secret that parents often put pressure on their children, thus not giving them the opportunity to realize themselves in the field, where they have abilities, talent, and desire. As a result, there are more failures in society every day. The famous trainer is against this.
У многих есть мечта, которых я ребятам говорю, не бойтесь мечтать. Мечтайте о высоком. Стремитесь к этому.
Many have dreams, and I say to children, don't be afraid to dream. Dream big. Aspire to it. Nobody can take it away from you. Unfortunately, parents often become a barrier, telling the child, "Why do you need it? You better choose some ordinary profession." Or, "How can you become a champion? Will you sing at La Scala? Why don't you get the Nobel Prize?" But why? Let a boy or a girl dream and let them try. And just help them. And they'll fly high. This is the most important task of the mentor, not to put pressure.
Подлетит высоко. И вот это именно дело наставника. Не давить.
Kenzhebek Chekirov has 2 children and 2 grandchildren, but in addition to them, he has dozens of students whom he considers his relatives. Of course, in response, they treat him like a father. He didn't just bring up many world, Asia, and country champions. The most important thing is he brought up good people. And most of all, he's proud that he's a good mentor for each of them.
Почему говорю наставник, да? И это умение говорить о жизни, жить, быть примером
Why do I say mentor? It's the ability to talk about life with students, to be an example for them.
Общаюсь с супругой, с детьми.
I always say to them, look how I live, how I treat my life, my children. Be like me, be better than me.
Скажем, многоликим Янусом, как мифологии, да?
Because you shouldn't be good for some other people and be a dictator at home. People like that are very dangerous. It's necessary to be stable.
Очень опасные. Надо быть стабильным. Думаю, что это дает сейчас плоды, потому что я
I think it's bearing fruit because I see them getting married, start their families. So I have a lot of grandchildren besides those in my family. I also participate in their lives because it matters to me.
непосредственно, потому что очень мне важно, когда мы на соревнования едем, мне важно, чтобы жена, скажем,
When we go to competitions, it's important to me that the wife of my student supports him, that his parents and children are healthy, and that he calmly enters the ring and defends honor of our republic. It's a hard work. My duties do not include to come and leave at a certain time. No, I have a 24-hour job.
Не входит только пришел, скажем, в определенный N час, N час ушел, да?
I have a life outside the mat, outside the gym. I need to know how my words live, are they sick, and generally who they are friends with. It's very important to me.
Тренировочного зала, как живут, чем болеют и вообще с кем дружат. Это для меня очень важно.
According to one of the most experienced coaches of the country, his work requires maximum responsibility. Of course, children and young men with different personalities and intentions come to his school, sometimes with bad ones. And so the role of the mentor is to guide a child in the right direction. And now we will talk about the female role in the upbringing of the younger generation. Our next story is about a popular singer, people's artist of Azerbaijan. At 43, she became a mother for the fourth time, and the status of a mother of many children does not prevent her from her work. On the contrary, it gives her strength and desire to create more and to make the audience happy with her talent as long as it's possible. It's no secret that for most show business celebrities, to have a lot of kids is not quite good, and they constantly find an excuse not to have children. They're busy with constant rehearsals, tours, concerts, shootings, communication with the press, and so on. The people's artist of Azerbaijan, Gulyanak Mamedova, considers this opinion wrong and regrets that the stereotype is supported by many well-known people. She has 4 children herself. It should be said that Gulyanak, together with her sister Gulyaz, became famous throughout the country at a very young age as performers of folk songs and mugam. And it's not surprising that Gulyanak has a very tight schedule: shootings, concerts, work in the theater, pedagogical activity. But no one canceled her responsibilities as a mother. As an artistic person, I cannot always pay enough attention to my family, and I often think about whether I will be able to give my children right education, to show them the right way of life, so that they can find a worthy place in society in the future. Unfortunately, my profession takes away half of the time and opportunities I could devote to children.
Tərbiyəsi. Bax, bu mənim sənətim bunun yarısını alır məndən. Sənət də mənə çox şey veribdi. Bu qədər tamaşaçı.
I consider it my duty to be in the service of Azerbaijani culture. I want to contribute to its development, and it certainly takes strength and time. Besides everything I teach at the Academy of Art, teaching activity for me is another opportunity to pass on my knowledge and experience to young people who want to devote themselves to art. It's my mission to serve folk music, to develop it.
Sənətində. Bu da mənim məsuliyyət daşıdığım gözəl bir işdir. Amma belə şeylərdən də agah olmalıdırlar.
Every child should know how to behave at the table. That's what they need to be taught. Sometimes they say you cannot push too hard. I understand, and I know they will behave like children anyway. But I'm sure adults should be an example for every child. They look at us and copy our behavior. My eldest daughter, Sila, is 13. She's in the 7th grade. Miragup is already a 6th grade student. Fikret is in 2nd grade. The youngest one is Ugur. He is 3 years old. He's already going to preschool. After school, all children have additional classes. Our daughter is very responsible. She spends a lot of time studying. It's not necessary to explain to her anything. In this regard, we're lucky. But it's necessary to keep an eye on Miragup. He, like the other boys, loves to play very much. At the same time, he loves music and sports. His hobbies and interests and anything often change. Apparently, he's looking for himself. But whatever choice he makes, we will support him. We will not impose our opinion on our children. If I insist on him to become a musician, it will not lead to anything good. After all, creativity requires a person to have a natural talent. Fikret is slightly lazy when it comes to his studies. You have to constantly discipline him. It's a good thing teachers are watching his education closely. I feel like Ugur is prone to music. Of course, he's still young, so in the future we will see in what he will show interest. As parents, we will try to make sure they grow up educated, with a broad outlook on life and deep knowledge. We are always involved in this. They're all doing music right now, but they don't have to become musicians. We just want them to be educated in musical sense and to understand music. I think it will shape their taste. Now there are a lot of rubbish in our sphere. I wouldn't want them to be tasteless in their musical preferences.
Atam mahnısını bilirəm. Aha. Hansı mahnı? Xalqımın günləri oxuyacaqsan.
Atasının mahnısı deyil.
Biz solo konsertə hazırlaşırdıq Gülyas xanımla.
Last October, my sister Gulyas and I had a big concert. During the preparation, our little Ugur loved our rehearsals the most. On one of them, I sang the composition Oyan, Wake Up, which belongs to Adil Babirov. The song is a little complicated, so I was completely immersed in singing.
Oyan, oyan, eller gelir, oyan, bahar gelir, oyan, aman, niye sönür, yanabilir.
And suddenly I saw that Ugur took the microphone and started singing to me. So I can see that he understands music. Singer's husband's relatives live in Istanbul, and Gulyanak's relatives in the Azerbaijani city of Sheki. Her parents raised 10 children, and everyone received a higher education. According to Gulyanak, her husband and her sisters are always a great help in raising her children. I always help my wife both in terms of raising children and in terms of work. I think Miragup has also abilities for music. He plays the piano well. If he shows himself, shows his desire in music, I will support him. As they say, his moment of choice is still ahead. Gulyanak does not hide that she adores her profession. She's dedicated to it. At the same time, she's offended when people say that it's easy and that it's not a serious work. Go on stage and sing. Of course, they don't know how hard it is, and they don't know that sometimes singers have to make big sacrifices for the audience. The first child, daughter Sila, was born in Istanbul. As soon as she was born, I was invited to a concert abroad. I couldn't skip the trip, but it was also impossible to take my child with me. Of course, I couldn't get away from my daughter at that moment. I took her to the airport with me. I was sitting in the car with her until I was told that boarding the plane was about to begin. I cried. I was afraid to leave her. The same thing happened when other children were born. I went on tour, but my heart was always with them. I left for a week once. Sila was 1 year old at that time. When I came back, I was told she was lying quietly all along and had almost nothing to eat. When she saw me, she gave me a huge hug. Children for all parents are more important than all the treasures of the world. You feel it when you become a parent. I often took them on tour with me. We've been to many foreign countries together. My husband helps me a lot. He's not just a husband to me, but a friend. I share everything with him. He's my other self, and that's the only way to keep a strong family. We wish Gulyanak and her husband Ziya that their children grow up as they want them to be. So Sila, Miragup, Fikret and Ugur to grow up decent people, find their place in society, and make their parents happy and proud, but also everyone else with their good deeds and great achievements.
Сегодня мы посвятили выпуск
Today we talked about upbringing of children, and finally I would like to share a wise saying. Education is the best inheritance. You have watched Colors of Asia. See you soon.